Love and respect, everyone. It is September 12th, 2014. I wish a happy birthday to my daughter's father, John Leach, who went to heaven in 1985 when she was 10 months old. And I know still looks over her and sometimes me today. I've decided I'm going to do a series of 3 what I think are emergency videos, time sensitive. I can't put them off any longer. Some of you know I've been very ill lately, and I'm going to make it a point to, at the beginning of every video, remind the public conscious that the City of Philadelphia Jail, on the order of Fern Brown Kaplan, a corrupt custody master lawyer in Philadelphia Family Court, along with Judge Robert J. Matthews, whom I had federal lawsuits against, did order my assassination at the City of Philadelphia Jail, where I have a U.S. Marshal witness see a person claiming to be a jail nurse that the position did not even exist upon intake of people there to be held overnight on a federal hold, grab my arm and stick me against my will with a needle that we don't know came from God knows where. And we found out later that later being we had the U.S. Marshal witness, and then we found out later through 3 screens and ultrasounds and a lot of testing that I was injected with acute, meaning I acquired it in less than 6 months. It's not acquired over a long period of time. On March 8th, the only time I was exposed to it, I was injected with an eventually terminal disease, hepatitis C, liver disease, for which now I am suffering some of the progressive symptoms of the liver disease, which the liver controls every part, cleanses the toxins from our system. So anyway, work still goes on, and I want to leave a legacy of reform and of courage. I want to pass on a baton of courage and knowledge to the younger generation, who has the energy, the passion, the integrity, and the endurance to carry it out, to see us through to that mountaintop that Martin Luther King saw. Okay? Our work is not done. We can only pass on the work that we do. All right, the first title in my emergency series today is I want to pull together the knowledge that was shared in 3 or 4 different videos about how we utilize the suggestion from Jessie Jennifer Roy in Wisconsin to save newborns in the hospital. She gave us the suggestion of the legal notice and warning for violation of civil rights and the penalties for those that do it, imprisonment and fines for another purpose. But in my sitting as the gatekeeper to approach, at the time it was like 2,000 claims being assessed, and being able to recognize the attributes and the characteristics of my crime victim pool, my corruption victims, and then being able to recognize the modus operandi of the assailant pool, the official corruption, fraud, and civil rights violations, the deliberate judicial legal malpractice of state laws to aid and abet DHS and CPS agency Kidnap for profits. I immediately saw an administrative solution for a way, the only way that I could see to get this notice of the states being restrained, the state agencies being restrained from touching or having anything to do interfacing with a patient in a hospital. All right. So, and that only opportunity is the one that risk management department gives you. The risk management department is concerned only about mitigating risk for lawsuits, not just medical malpractice lawsuits, but any lawsuits about any type of abuse that could happen while someone is under their so-called care. So the hospital risk management office is their own entity, and they govern themselves. In other words, they're not answerable to the state agency. They're not answerable to the local police. But the way you make them free not to be answerable to the local police is to have in a higher jurisdiction, in a federal court, the proof and evidence filed of why the people trying to get access to your patient, the mother and the child, or even the father to usurp his rights, are racketeering, official corrupt defendants, or they so badly legal malpractice or so badly functioned in employee misconduct that they've already caused injury to your family and are thereby motioned in you ask for, when you file a federal complaint, you ask for declaratory injunctive relief on the complaint. If you did not do that, you immediately, after Federal Rule 4 service of summons, you file for emergency motion restraining order, emergency motion injunctive relief, protection from the accused pursuant to USC 3771 crime victim rights, which the U.S. Attorney's Office of Crime Victim Assistance says you have the right as a federal crime witness to protection from the accused. That's why it's so important to get a federal action. The federal action immediately tells the local authority this is in a federal jurisdiction, all right? And where that matters, like in places like local law enforcement coming and beating your head in with a stick, or coming in and arresting you and throwing you away without charges up at CFCF or up at the jail for 30 days, 60 days, no jacket, no charges, you just disappeared, literally kidnapped yourself, right? So that's where that comes in at, because you have a public record that somebody knows that what these people are doing to you is stalking, harassment, intimidation, personal injury, and a RICO charge, witness tampering, and intimidation. So that's why it's so important to get that in, so you have something to show. My experience where that happened was I filed on February 9th against the corrupt officials in family court here in Philadelphia. By October 4th, there was something called a DHS, I forget what you call them. Anyway, it's where they dispatch an emergency. They said they got an emergency call. These kids are in dire danger, and the social worker of the agency is given the support of 15 to 30 local police officers headed by a captain to enact whatever she decides when he or she decides when they get there, right? So she's told to go immediately. The social worker is told immediately go find out if this is true or not, and if you see anything wrong, the kids are in imminent harm, imminent danger, you are to remove them, and the police is their muscle. The local police are to back them up. Well, we had that experience where a social worker came, but again, I keep telling you, there are more people with a conscience than aren't with a conscience. So she came with the intention of actually doing her job. She came with the intention of determining whether or not the kids were okay. And when she came in there, of course, all the police fanned in there. No, before they came in there, when they knocked on the door, I said, "You may not enter. This is a federal matter now, right?" The police captain said, "Do you have anything to prove? It's a federal matter." And I said, "Yes, I do. I have filed in federal court." He said, "Can you push it through the door?" And I pushed it through the door, and all I had at that time was the order from the federal judge in the Eastern District, Honorable Mitchell S. Goldberg, saying, "Yes, plaintiff may proceed in forma pauperis. Defendants will be served summons with complaint." That's all I had. And he said, "Yep, this is a federal matter." And they came in, they took the complaint, they read the complaint, and she got on the phone and she called someone, but she was on speakerphone so we could all hear. She said, "Look, I don't feel comfortable taking these kids out of here. One, they're okay, they're fine, they're happy, they have plenty of toys, they're clean, they're dressed, everything's nice, everything is fine, right? I don't feel comfortable taking it." And the person on the other end was saying, "You get those kids out of there, you'll bring them back right now." She was hollering. And then the young lady, who you could see, she was the she was the little dog on the totem pole. She was kind of scared to speak up to her supervisors, but her conscience and her sense of character made her speak again. She said, "Well," the person said, if you don't take them kids out of there, I'm going to have to call and wake up so-and-so." So she said, "I'll wait for you to call them because I just don't think this is right." The police were fanning around taking pictures of all my practice model banners. They were taking pictures of everything, us, the kids, and stuff like that. A couple of the officers, again, who are human beings, were having conversations and talking and everything. And it was still scary, but when people resonated on a human level, right, we talked to each other like human beings, We didn't have to agree with each other. We didn't have to take up each other's banner. I didn't have to do their job. They didn't have to forsake them. They're doing their job. They just had to wait for instructions, So in the meantime, the captain was talking to me and everything. And he says, "Wow." I said, when he read in the complaint, that Fern Brown Kaplan accepted in writing from the defense counsel, Timothy Pacente, the father's attorney, a written admission that his blood results were, blood test, his drug screen urine were chock full of toxins, right? And he said, "Oh my God." And then with the blood tests attached, right, he snatched it out of my hand. He said, let me read this. I know how to read this. I'll tell you what's in here." And he started reading. He said, "Oh my God, this has high levels of everything in it but marijuana." This guy was taking some stuff like some real designer stuff. I don't know what he was doing, but he was taking a lot of man-made chemicals, meth. Anyway, it was what we would have suspected him for. The marijuana was the least of it, put it that way. Okay, so that was my experience with how the federal case mattered at that point, because that wave of 30 police officers and that social worker said, "I'm not taking these kids out of here." She said, "I'm going to send somebody back for a home visit," right? And they, just like they waved in, they waved out, So, and the only reason they did was that having that proof of a federal lawsuit and my charges against them with evidence attached of the crimes that they were committing to kidnap for profit those children, or to place them in place them willfully in a child endangering situation. So, okay, back to the steps. So you get your federal complaint. Now, if you are having now we have two cases now here at HireLyrics. We got one that's going to be filed no later than September 28th, whose baby is going to be who's already suffered. It's going to be filed about the two of the minor plaintiff children of the grandparents, right, being kidnapped for profit and severely injured, personally injured, by no later than September 28th, and there's a baby due, okay, at the end of October. So what do we know about DHS? We know that and also we have up here in Philadelphia a young man and a business owner whose 6 of his children have been taken for kidnap for profit with the accessory assistance, the criminal accessory assistance of the Philadelphia Trial Division, Criminal Division Court, where they are deliberately malpracticing his rules of criminal procedure and committing criminal conspiracy and having a court appointed attorney who has criminal conduct for obstruction of justice. Goes way beyond malfeasance, perjury, and of course it disguised itself as insufficiency, but it's not insufficiency. It's deliberate, and we have a trail of evidence in writing that proves that, including his very own correspondence and what the docket says in docket analysis, late and no filings. The most recent filing that he supposedly did in the Rule 600 in the appeals docket of the criminal court, this certificate of service isn't even dated. So now we have to go scour those dockets and see whether or not that's even entered in there. So these are criminal falsification of records is a felony. Fraud upon the court is a felony, okay? And the things that he's doing, I'll have to find the correct legal charge for it, the correct charge for it, the maliciousness and conspiracy to convict with the district attorney's office an innocent person, Farouk Robinson, are punishable by jail time and big fines, okay? We have another attorney here called Greg Sokoloff, who was sentenced to 60 months in jail in federal prison and fined $612 in restitution because he was sued by Blue Cross Blue Shield out of their home office in Texas for stealing insurance premiums. So and guess what? Of course his license was suspended by the Supreme Court, Pennsylvania Supreme Court, but his license was also reinstated by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So that's why our lawsuits now are going to have to be like Andy Ostrowski for Congress, his lawsuit that he's showing us. Andy Ostrowski for Congress did a lawsuit, which is him on behalf of himself and the Pennsylvania Civil Rights Law Network against the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and the Supreme Court Disciplinary Board. These are the top dogs that are watching this gladiator fray. They're the top dogs that are watching this massacre, that are actually buying tickets to look at it. I mean, it's almost as though they're enjoying to see the slaughter of Americans. And that's what this is. It's a slaughter. That's his complaint, Andy Ostrowski. And you can get this at Pennsylvania Civil Rights Law Network.com. And I uploaded it to my iGoogle Docs and posted it to my Facebook. But always go to the source, Andy J. Ostrowski and Pennsylvania Civil Rights Law Network. Okay. I know this is getting long. I think I might have to edit some stuff out. Now you got your federal lawsuit, right? You're trying to save a newborn that you know is coming, and you also know DHS is coming, because DHS always uses a verbally stated precedent of you're not fit because we had a case on you before. They have no proof in their hand. You get a social worker who's shaking her, scratching her head, saying, I don't know nothing about that. That's not my case. I wasn't here then. I was still in school. I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is I'm supposed to take this baby out of here, right? So the way you stop all that, right, you restrain the whole agency at that hospital, okay? And the way you restrain the agency at the hospital is not through criminal justice, but through the hospital risk management area by giving them a notice of their personal injury and RICO Act, no, not RICO Act, their personal, because they're not racketeering, and negligent liability, patient negligence liability, if they allow anybody but who's on that the parents filed living will, medical representative authorization appointment, or the mother, the patient's appointment of parent guardian. If you allow anybody else to touch that little carriage, touch that little incubator, roll that child anywhere in the nursery, from the nursery to the room, if you allow anybody to enter that mother's room that is not a hospital officer, employee, doctor, nurse, orderly to clean the room, or to attend to that mother for her medical needs only related to this procedure, which childbirth is a medical procedure, right? You will be sued for medical malpractice, and you will be sued for personal injury, joint and several liability, not you personally, but the hospital and any chain of health services conglomerates you may be a part of will share in that liability. Okay? So those are 3 different documents that you got to get together. That you got your federal complaint as an administrative step, injunctive relief with it. If it's too late, you already filed your federal complaint, a motion for emergency relief pursuant to USC 3771, Crime Victim Bill of Rights, and then the mother's got don't forget fathers, right? They do this to fathers too. Fathers and mothers together, like they get together, then they got to worry about hiding the fact that they're together. Another family obliterating modus operandi, just to keep the agency from being aware that that father has fathered this child with another woman, you know? So that causes, it emasculates our men. It keeps them from being head of household. It keeps them from being assertive as they can be in their businesses and development in their community. We have nothing to hide. We have as much right to build our families, if not more, because of reparations, if not more, than anybody else does. And we have as much right to be proud of our families, all right, and our bloodline, and our investment in our bloodline. So we're not hiding from nobody. We're letting everybody know who we are, and we're also letting everybody know where the line is drawn, where you trespass. If you trespass, you do so at your own risk, because there will be consequences. So, okay, you get all those things, and you get them into the hospital. You get those 3 things, the living will. That's your only opportunity to tell a hospital anything going in as a patient for a medical procedure. A living will, a medical representative authorization, and a parent guardian appointment authorization. In case I don't come out of here alive, in case I'm not able to think for myself, This is who's got power of attorney for me to do everything that I would do in my stead had I been here. All right? And yeah, powers of attorney are durable, can be durable, and for the rest of their lifetime. All right? That's not somebody told me, oh, that's only good for 6 months. No. Don't you have to understand that different states have different requirements for power of attorney, but also, will you hand me that book over there? Powers of Attorney Simplified. But all states have conditions in which powers of attorney can be made durable, which is forever. Okay, so cut it out with all of that. I can't. As soon as you say I can't, or somebody told me I can't, you just limited yourself. That's slave thinking. All right? Stop limiting yourself. Nothing beats a failure but a try. Suppose you are wrong. What'd you lose because you tried to save your family? If my family was under attack, which it is, I'd rather throw some blows, do the best I can, and go out swinging and die and get killed than to say I sat there in the corner, huddled up in fear, talking about they told me I can't. All right? Everybody's going out. I'm going to take some of them with me. All right? Okay, then. All right, so that's it for the, I think that's it. Oh, and of course you serve all that that's who you serve everything to, the criminal justice people. You get all that packaged together. You make sure those forms that you sent to the hospital are exhibits in your federal complaint if you're in a position like we are now in our 2 cases, filing 2 federal complaints, right? And you of course you perform service in accordance with the federal court, and then under seal in the grand jury proposed indictment with the U.S. attorney under seal. You satisfy all that. Then you get your informational service list for accountability, not expecting them to do anything about it, but literally marketing this case study to a group whose interest is trailblazing reform, law enforcement, litigation, litigators that are constantly looking for parts of cases or pieces of cases that match up with what they're doing already in class actions anyway. You get certify service to or you post service to attorneys, globally practicing law firms that you've researched and see that they do have dangerous drug class actions. God, I'm sick. Anyway, and you look at that law firm, you go to that law firm's official website, and you see what else they're suing for. You see if the hospital your person going into, how many times they're being sued for something else, and how much could they, or the healthcare conglomerate that they're part of. See, healthcare is such big business. Hospitals are just merely franchises of these huge healthcare conglomerates. So you find out where the money backing is, and that's who you let them know you have this liability, because this is something one of your people, one of your entity, one of your departments did. Okay? You just can't keep stomping around breaking laws. All right? I think that's it on that. This got to 29 minutes, 30 minutes. Let me stop it right here. So that's it on our best way to so far we found successful, and it's worked in 3 cases so far, for how to save newborns from DHS kidnap for profit while in the hospital. Thank you.